What if the person you trust the most turns out to be your worst nightmare? Today, we delve into the chilling narrative of Mackenzie Shirilla, a name that has become synonymous with deceit, betrayal, and an appalling lack of remorse. This is a story that will send shivers down your spine, a tale that reminds us how trust can be manipulated and destroyed in the most horrifying ways. Our journey begins with a seemingly innocent young woman, Mackenzie Shirilla, who would soon become the architect of a tragedy that claimed two innocent lives. Her actions, perplexing and shocking, reveal a side of humanity we often choose to ignore. And what's more disturbing? Her chilling indifference towards her heinous crime. But remember, this is only the tip of the iceberg. As we journey deeper into this story, you'll discover layers of deceit and betrayal that will leave you astounded. So, are you ready? Prepare to delve into a chilling tale that will leave you questioning the very nature of trust. Before the storm, there is always an eerie calm. That's the best way to describe the normal life of our victim. A life that was as ordinary and peaceful as any other. He was a man of simple pleasures. He enjoyed the company of friends, savored the bliss of a good book, and held a deep appreciation for the quiet moments that life had to offer. Then, Mackenzie Shirilla entered his world. Young, charismatic, and seemingly full of life, she was a whirlwind of energy that brought a new spark into his life. Their bond was immediate and strong. The trust that bloomed between them was like a sunflower reaching out to the warm embrace of the sun. They were not just friends, they were confidants, partners, two souls navigating the winding paths of life together. Mackenzie was a woman with a magnetic personality that drew people to her. She was a beacon of light in his otherwise ordinary world. Her laughter was infectious, her spirit was indomitable, and her zest for life was unparalleled. To him, she was more than just a friend. She was his solace, his sanctuary, the one person he could turn to when the world became too much. But behind that vibrant persona lurked something darker, something that he, in his trusting nature, failed to see. Mackenzie was a master of masks, perfectly capable of hiding her true nature behind a facade of warmth and friendliness. She was a ticking time bomb, waiting for the perfect moment to detonate. The trust he had in Mackenzie was wholehearted and unshaken. He saw in her a friend, a confidant, a partner. He saw in her a person he could rely on, someone who would stand by him through thick and thin. He saw in her a beacon of hope in a world that often seemed too dark. Little did he know, his life was about to be turned upside down. The trust he had placed in Mackenzie, the bond they had formed, the friendship they had nurtured, all of it was about to be shattered in the most devastating way possible. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. Mackenzie Shirilla, a name that was once associated with innocence, became the harbinger of a tragedy that would shock even the most hardened of hearts. The crime she committed was not just brutal, but also a stark betrayal of trust. Shirilla, a seemingly ordinary girl, committed an act so heinous that it would forever stain her name in the annals of true crime. She was responsible for the death of two innocent individuals. The victims were not strangers, but people she knew intimately, making her actions all the more chilling. The circumstances surrounding the crime were as shocking as the crime itself. It was a quiet evening when the tranquility was shattered by the sounds of violence. The victims were defenseless, caught off guard by the sudden and brutal attack. The savagery of the crime was a stark contrast to the peaceful lives they led, making the incident all the more horrifying. The method of the crime was meticulously planned. Shirilla was not merely a perpetrator, she was a strategist. She knew what she was doing, and she executed her plan with a terrifying precision. This was not an act of passion or a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a cold, calculated move that demonstrated a chilling disregard for human life. The betrayal was perhaps the most shocking aspect of the crime. Shirilla was not an outsider. She was a part of their lives, someone they trusted. To have her turn on them in such a brutal manner was a betrayal that left a deep, indelible scar on the psyche of those who knew her and the victims. Shirilla's crime was a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. It was a brutal act carried out with a cold, calculated precision that sent ripples of shock and horror through the community. The crime left two innocent people dead, and countless others scarred by the brutality of the act and the betrayal of trust. But the horror didn't stop there. When the dust settled, the true horror was revealed. In the quiet aftermath of the crime, an eerie silence fell over the community. The once vibrant neighborhood was now shrouded in a cloak of disbelief, a facade of normalcy barely concealing the shock and horror that had taken root. The devastation left in Mackenzie Shirilla's wake was not just physical, it was emotional, it was psychological. It was a wound that cut deep into the very heart of the community. The victims of this heinous act were left to grapple with the unimaginable. Struggling to piece together the fragments of their shattered lives, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare that seemed to have no end. The pain of their loss was immeasurable, a gaping void that threatened to consume them. But it was not just their pain, it was the pain of an entire community, a collective grief that hung heavy in the air. News of the crime spread like wildfire, igniting a wave of fear and suspicion. Friends turned into strangers, neighbors cast wary glances, and trust became a luxury that few could afford. The community was on edge, the tranquility of their everyday lives disrupted by the stark reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. In the midst of this turmoil, the victims were forced to confront the harsh reality of their situation. They were left grappling with questions that had no answers, haunted by the what-ifs and if-onlys. They wrestled with feelings of guilt and anger, despair and helplessness, their lives forever marked by the tragedy. But perhaps the most chilling part of this ordeal was yet to come. As the community struggled to come to terms with the crime, Mackenzie Shirilla remained eerily calm. In the face of the devastation she had caused, she showed no remorse, no guilt. It was as if she was disconnected from the reality of her actions, living in a world of her own. And then, Mackenzie Shirilla made her chilling confession. The courtroom was silent as Mackenzie Shirilla took the stand. The anticipation hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension that was almost suffocating. As the spectators looked on, they saw not the face of remorse, but a chilling calmness, a chilling indifference. Mackenzie, the architect of a terrible tragedy, stood there, her eyes devoid of any trace of guilt. Her chilling words echoed in the courtroom. "I could do anything and still remain alive." The audacity of her statement sent a shiver down the spine of everyone present. It wasn't just the lack of remorse, it was the pride, the arrogance that was truly unnerving. The trial was a spectacle that gripped the nation. Every testimony, every piece of evidence, every shocking revelation was under the harsh glare of the public eye. The trial was not just a pursuit of justice, but a deep dive into the mind of a perpetrator, a glimpse into the abyss of a truly troubled soul. The public reaction was a mix of disbelief and outrage. The sheer audacity of Mackenzie's statements, her shocking lack of remorse, was a slap in the face of the victims' families. It was a bitter pill to swallow, a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks in the corners of our society. The courtroom drama unfolded like a tragic opera, with Mackenzie playing the villain with a chilling nonchalance. The audience was left with a bitter taste, a deep-seated uneasiness that lingered long after the curtains fell. As the gavel fell, marking the end of the trial, the verdict was clear. Mackenzie was convicted, justice was served, but the scars, the wounds inflicted by her actions, by her chilling indifference, would never fade. The echoes of her words, her shocking lack of remorse, would continue to haunt the courtroom, a grim reminder of the tragedy that unfolded. Justice may have been served, but the scars will never fade. In the wake of such a chilling crime, one question remains: how does a community recover from such a shocking betrayal? The shockwaves of Mackenzie Shirilla's actions have left deep scars, the loss of 2 lives, the shattering of trust, the echo of laughter that once filled the streets, now replaced with a deafening silence. This crime has served as a stark reminder of the delicate fabric of trust within a community, and how quickly it can be torn apart. It's a haunting reflection on the nature of trust and betrayal, the complexity of human relationships, and the chilling reality that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never suspect. As we move forward, we carry with us the memory of the victims, their lives cut short in such a brutal fashion. We remember, we mourn, but we also learn. In the end, the case of Mackenzie Shirilla serves as a chilling reminder: not everyone is as they seem.